I've been a Toastmasters for 17 years, not because I'm a slow learner, but because I love it. I'm also a thespian, so I will be channeling my Dave Ryan presidential vibe. Thank you for that intro, Muriel. I was uplifted by your words. Greetings, everyone. How you doing? Cliff, good to see you. I remember you from Dunleary days. Anyway, let's get to the business at hand because I could talk forever, as you know. Let's stay on point. Just a couple of housekeeping items for the club. As far as our DCP goals, we all know what that is. We're doing well, but lagging in a couple of areas, and we wanted to identify them as areas that we might be able to chip in personally. On the education front, for level one, we need three level ones. So consider that if you're getting close that you might gift it to us. The heck with your other clubs. MoE lots, am I right? Okay, level twos, we need 4. Pat will tell you we've done nothing in level 2. That means we need 4 people to get 2 goals there. And level 3, just 1 is needed. So we're that rare club that the 4s and the 5s don't appear to be an issue. It's the early ones. So you can keep that in mind as you're working your educational program. On the training front, those of you that are officers knows it's very difficult to get credit for training, but all 7 of our officers were trained, and we're saying a little prayer that actually shows up in the official records. Thank you all for being trained. And I know there's some where not only were you trained, but you were a trainer. That's how involved some folks are in the Toastmasters way. Finally, if we could talk about the selfless contributions of one Vicky Trabosh. I'm not talking about what she contributes to the meeting. I'm talking about what she goes into her pocket to help support this club. Many of you may know in our country, on our dues, we just pay the minimum amount and we don't have an extra component for club expenses because they're not much. So Vicky has underwritten that. Muriel has on her own, without Vicky complaining about it, sent out links and Venmos and all sorts of things. So it's a way to say if we could all contribute in our own way. It's completely voluntary. Vicky will carry on without it, but we think it's an equitable, fair thing. Vicky's going to work up a budget. I think we talked about it being like $5 a person per 6 months. So maybe $10, whereas they say 2 lattes a year. So if you could find it in your heart to support Vicky, she's not asking for it, but I tip my hat to the spirit of Muriel Shabazz, inserting herself in places where others are just waiting for someone to take an action. Well, she took the action, and I'm going to follow up with a contribution. So that will be forthcoming. Finally, we'll talk about this later on after the meeting. We want to have a discussion. The board has had a discussion about what our club's role might be in the speech contest. We're in that season. As many of you are aware, most of us have a primary club or other clubs in which we compete, and MoE really hasn't been that place. There's also the time difference. Rumazai represented us, and I think she represented us at 3 a.m. It was a great speech, but some of us wonder, how might she have been at 3 p.m.? So we're wondering if we might support people outside of the contest, not in our club itself, but we also understand that people like to compete. So later on, we'd like to open it up to the membership to find out what your view is. A little teaser, we're thinking that we might not have an official contest, but we might hold a contest that has a feel like a contest. You can maybe talk of speeches and give speeches that you might not normally in the pathways, or if you are competing for that club and this is the place where you'd like to practice, we want to support you, and we are pro contest. We're trying to find our best place. That I've spoken too long about that, but we'd like your thoughts. So I think that's all the business that we had to cover. Is there anything that I didn't touch on, board members?
I have a really nasty set of thumb screws for anybody who doesn't give me a level 1 or 2.
Bring it. Just bring it, Pat. I just want to add to what you just said, John. Beyond having some sort of, quote, contest that isn't the official thing, where we need all those rows filled, we also talked about, as you know, if you're one of those people that knows you want to go through and we don't have other people to compete, we can send someone through to the next level without a whole contest. If it's 1 or 2 people, can we send 2? I think we can send 2. So if you Yes, so don't forget that. So when we have the discussion later, we'll add that. So don't feel like we're not here to support you in any way we can. We just want to make it a great support for everyone.
Excellent point. Also, I want to say I forgot some business. It is Black History Month, so let's recognize that. Thank you for the reminder, Muriel. So we'll celebrate that all 28 or what's this year? 28 days. Okay, with that, we cover all the business, thumb screws and Black History Month. Take that away and please contribute to Vicky's cause. It is my pleasure to turn it over to the Toastmaster of the day, Shawnte Howard. Shawnte.
Good morning, everybody.
Yay.
Have you guys heard the news? Beyonce is going on tour.
Yay.
This is big news because Beyonce never tours. She doesn't do interviews. She's not on social media, and she drops an album every 5 years or so. See, she truly moves to the beat of her own drum. Now, folks are excited. And in this so-called recession, stadiums around the globe will be sold out with people dropping anywhere from $600 for nosebleed seats to upwards of $5,000 for kind of decent seats.
Yikes.
So if Know Your Worth and then add tax was a person, it would be Beyonce. So our theme for today is Know Your Worth and then add tax. How many of you are shorting yourselves because you don't believe that folks are buying what you're selling? Whether it's a product or a service, making that next big move, or asking for that raise you deserve at work. Folks will believe your worth only when you believe your worth. Beyonce proves that regardless of what is going on in the world, people will buy anything at any cost if you believe its value. And if the people in front of you don't see it, well, there's an entire stadium of folks waiting for you to get on stage. So today, we have 3 absolutely amazing speakers and evaluators who are going to give you words of great wisdom. So be inspired, be motivated, and most importantly, be you. Start today where you are, know your worth, and then add a little bit of tax. Now, I am extremely excited and honored to be your Toastmaster today, but I could not do this job alone. I have a fantastic co-host that I'm going to introduce right now, Mr. Pat Caslin, who is going to be my general evaluator. So Pat, please welcome to the virtual lectern.
Thank you very much, Shawnte. I thought we had our own Beyonce just talking to us there, but there you go. My job is your general evaluator today, and my job is to evaluate the meeting overall, not the speakers, but particularly give some comments and feedback to the evaluators so that they can help improve the speakers, and to introduce the people that are important in this meeting. And the very first person is our word of the day, grammarian counter, Mary Pryor. Mary, would you like to tell us what your word of the day is and what your role is, please?
Thank you, Madam Mr. General Evaluator. And my role today as grammarian is to, of course, introduce the word of the day. And the word of the day is transparent. And it is an adjective. And one of the definitions among many is easily seen through, recognized, are detected. Transparent excuses. As your grammarian, I encourage you to use the word of the day throughout the meeting, and this includes the speakers, evaluators, and table topic participants. Please use the word of the day throughout. I will listen to word usage and also good use of the English language. And as your counter, the purpose of the counter is to improve speech patterns and improve the flow of your speaking to eliminate the ahs, ums, well, so, you knows, and I will make note of each speaker and also all of the participants and give you a report at the end of the meeting as your counter and grammarian. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mary. Very comprehensive. Now I'm looking to see if I can find Daniel in Sangomana, and I don't see him. So do we have a timer?
Yes, it's Carol Otters.
Carol, would you like to explain the timing lights for us, please?
I'd be happy to. Thank you for allowing me to join your meeting. Our timing will be as such. For table topics, it's 1 to 2 minutes. When you've met the minimum, it will be green. Halfway through, you'll get the yellow and red. That means you've got 30 seconds to wrap it up. And that's seconds, not minutes, because I sometimes say it wrong. Our speakers, from what I can tell, are all 5 to 7 minute speakers. At 5 minutes, you get the green. At 6 minutes, you get the yellow. And at 7 minutes, you get the red with, again, 30 seconds to wrap it up. Evaluators are 2 to 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and 3 minutes with, again, 30 seconds to wrap it up. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. I hope that's easily seen. I am also your Zoom master for the day. So if I mute you, it's just because we're getting background noise. Thank you very much.
I see we're in very capable hands, Carol. Wonderful of you to join us, and thank you for doing that. May I ask you to do one thing, please, is to put up your hand so that you're pinned to the top left corner of our screens so that we know where to look for you and you're not moving around. And that would be really helpful. Now, I'll come back to you at the end of the meeting, looking for reports from our timer and our grammarian. And in the meantime, I pass you back to our wonderful Toastmaster for the day, Ms. Shawnte Howard. Shawnte.
Thank you so much for that very transparent report with your functionaries. Now, for the meat and potatoes of the meeting, we are going to start with our speakers. We have 3 amazing speakers that are lined up for you. But before I introduce speaker number 1, I would love to introduce their evaluator to tell you a little bit about what we can expect. Vincent, would you like to come to the virtual lectern, please?
I would love to. Good evening from Spain. Good evening from Marbella in Spain and Andalusia. I would like to welcome Rumi as our first speaker of the night. She has been delivering speeches on our behalf in the past, and today she will be talking on a subject which is part of the presentation mastery, level number 3. And what a beautiful objectives they have. She has to inspire us, inspire your audience. And the title is The Captain. Now, I'm not sure how many captains there are in Saudi Arabia. This is where she lives. But we will find out. Rumi, we will be listening to you carefully. And I will be happy to give you some feedback of what I've seen and what I've heard and how you have inspired me. Back to you, Shawnte.
Thank you so much. And thank you. We are all excited in anticipating this very transparent and inspiring speech. So please, everybody, welcome to the virtual lectern, Rumi with the Captain.
I remember it like it was yesterday. My very first time on an airplane. I remember looking outside the window and I could see the clouds so close, it was almost magical. I was literally on top of the world. The excitement that gripped me was on another level, but at the same time, the fear of the unknown kept tingling in my ear. But all of that was overshadowed by the destination that was to follow. All of a sudden, I could hear violent shaking and the screams of the passengers around me before I heard this announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing some turbulence. Please keep your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign has been switched off. Toastmaster of the evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. In the blink of an eye, my life lay in the hands of a captain and his ability to navigate the turbulent weather. And I felt completely and utterly powerless. Have you ever felt completely and utterly powerless? In the same way in our life, life as we know it is made up of a series of flights. And these flights carry our dreams, our goals, and our aspirations to their destinations. And life as we know it will throw those turbulence in our faces. But this time, you and I have the power to determine who the captain of those flights will be. Now, at the tender age of 12 years old, my parents sat me down and they told me that I would be going to boarding school. Now, this news hit me like a ton of bricks. And my mother tried to calm me down by telling me, you will love the newly found independence. But all I could hear and feel was imminent abandonment. And the next thing I knew, I was already dropped off at their boarding school. And the first flight of independence was now in cruise. But right there and then, the turbulence of loneliness and despair gripped me. And for 3 days straight, I cried myself to sleep until one day, the matron saw the tears down my cheeks and called me to the room and said, Rumbi, you have to decide who will be the captain of your ship. You only can decide whether you can sink or swim. And it was at that time that I realized that I had made despair the captain of my ship. And I knew now that I could change that. And I put determination as the captain of that ship. And soon I found that I didn't like boarding school. I loved it. And it was because determination was my captain. I now embraced my newly found independence. Years later, I was 21 years old. I had graduated from college and I was looking forward to my career growth. You see, the college that I had been enrolled with had an arrangement with the national airline that as soon as we graduated, we would be automatically absorbed as recruits. And I remember one day, the dean called us and told us that due to the economic hardships, none of the group would be absorbed into the national airline. Now you can understand that there was only one airline in my country. And I felt that I had wasted 4 years of my life. And I felt completely and utterly hopeless. But then I remembered the words that Sister Jubilata said, that I could choose the captain of my ship, and I chose determination over self-pity. And it was this determination that gave me the courage to look outside my country at opportunities abroad. And that is how I relocated to the Middle East and found myself working for one of the leading airlines in the whole world. And this was all because I chose determination as the captain of my ship. Not only that, I soon became a leader in my industry, got this ring on my finger, and welcomed a bouncing baby boy. Ladies and gentlemen, life as we know it is like a series of flights, and only you have the power to choose who that captain is. If you're not happy with how your life is today, take a moment to think about it. Think about who is the captain of your ship. And today, as the captain of this speech, I want to leave you with this message. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. When you're experiencing some turbulence in your life, make sure to choose the right captain for your dreams. And surely you'll find yourself on top of the world and at your destination. Back to you.
Wow. Truly inspiring. Thank you so much, Rumi, for that completely transparent speech. Determination is the captain of my ship as well. I love that. And I'm definitely going to take that into today. Madam Timer, can we please have 90 seconds on the clock so that we can send some feedback to Rumi? Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much. Now we have speaker number 2. But before we hear from Sharon, we are going to hear from her evaluator, who is going to be John Graham. John, please come to the virtual lectern and let us know a little bit about Sharon's speech today. You're on mute, John.
Hi, Shawnte. I really am just kind of like substituting in here for April. She had difficulties with her computer. She's got some issues that she can't solve today. So she asked me to come in her place. And I'm not sure what Sharon's speech is about, but I'll be listening with eager ears for whatever she has to say, and I'll give you an evaluation at the end. Thank you.
No, thank you, John. We appreciate your transparency, and we will all be listening with great ears to Sharon's amazing speech today. So please welcome to the virtual lectern Sharon Giles, who is going to be giving us a speech titled Mrs. McLeod and Me. Sharon, welcome to the virtual lectern.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters, and to our guests and members. As you know, I've been in Toastmasters now for 20 years. I am far from being transparent. Toastmasters has given me more worth. And I ask you, what has Toastmasters done for you? What are you doing for Toastmasters? How can you take your Toastmaster knowledge and play it forward? If you've gone through the Pathway program, in your manual, you'll come to a sheet that's entitled Access Your Skills. And on that page, it'll ask you, how is this project going to help you outside of Toastmasters? One thing that I've learned is that through all of the 3 programs, the educational programs, from the Successful Club, from the Leadership Club, and now for the Pathway Club, all of those educational programs included a project entitled Mentoring. Mentoring. So what is mentoring, and why is it so, what I want to call the cornerstone of Toastmasters? What is a mentor? A mentor is a person who is well versed on the Toastmaster program. They're available, they're patient, they're sensitive, they're respectful, they're flexible, they're supportive, and most of all, they're willing to help. So whether you want to call yourself a protege or a mentee, you too must be eager to learn, you must be grateful, and of course, you must be available. So why does Toastmasters use mentoring in all of their educational programs? And I think it's because they want you to know that you can count on Toastmasters and their program to take not only what you learn inside of your club meeting, but you can use it outside in your regular everyday life. It puts worth in what you do. I call it playing it forward. And that is what Mrs. MacLeod did for me. Now, who is Miss MacLeod? She is a lady who was in charge of the layman's program at my church. And in order for you to do a project at the church that represented you being a member of the church, you had to go through what we call a layman meetings. These were intense meetings, and I wanted to volunteer at the South Suburban Crisis Center. Now, if you know anything about crisis centers, what we do there, we dealt with women who were going through domestic violence. So Mrs. MacLeod said, Sharon, I believe you can do this, but you have to take a 40 hours, people, 40 hours of training. This was after an 8-hour job. But yes, I wanted to help, and guess what? I did it, because Toastmasters does not have quitters. So I was asked many questions about why I wanted to work with women who were victims of domestic violence. They wanted to know if I had experienced that, if I knew someone who experienced it, and why do I want it right now? I must admit, all of my answers were no, 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 I did not. I wanted to do it only because I wanted to encourage those ladies. And I could think that maybe at some point that could have been me. You know, I grew up in a very stable home, and my marriage was really stable. I raised 2 decent children, but there are people that needed my service, and I just felt that was part of my mission. So Mrs. MacLeod walked me through, and this lady was such a strength to me. Talk about determination. She had determination. She had been volunteering her services at the South Suburban Crisis Center for many years. She was well known. So I asked you, who and what are you mentoring? The program that I brought to the center was one with my flowers. I did floral arrangements. I taught the ladies how to do floral arrangements. I gave encouragement, but most of all, I listened. We listened to their stories. We listened to why they came to the center, and we listened to why they returned to their home. We saw several women go back to their home. We saw those same women come back. Now, the program that I took explained why domestic violence women or victims of domestic violence did exactly what they did. It was like a revolving door. So I asked you, who are you encouraging? Why are you encouraging? Are you strong enough? Are you transparent enough to help those who need help? As we look not only at the United States, but the entire world, we're in a desperate situation. We need mentors. You are Toastmasters. What's your message to the world? Are you strong enough? Your takeaway that I would like to give to you today is to pay it forward. Don't hold it inside. Don't take it to the grave. You have a message for the world that will make it better. I know it will. Madam Toastmaster.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Sharon, for letting us know the importance and the transparentness of needing a mentor and having a mentee. If we could please, Madam Timer, get 90 seconds on the clock so that we can send some words of inspiration to Sharon in the chat. I would also like to remind the guests to please feel free to send comments as well. You don't need to be a member to send words of wisdom and share with Sharon or with our previous speaker, Rumi, as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Madam Timer. And last, but definitely not least, we have Julie Sagado, who is going to come up and give us words of inspiration as well. But before she does, we would love to hear from her evaluator, who is going to be none other than the fabulous Vicki Chabash. Vicki?
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. This is a speech. Julie is a guest. She was invited here by Cliff Kirker because he knows we do evaluations, and she is doing a contest level speech. If we were the audience or judges, that's all we would know. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Shawnte, to announce her in contest ready style.
All right, great. Julie, have you pinned the timer?
No,
do you see the timer?
Just let me pin her now. Okay, hold on a second. She's at the top of my screen.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me, Julie?
Perfect.
Okay. Julie Salgado, beautiful moments. Beautiful moments. Julie Salgado.
Ha, ha, ha. When was the last time you laughed so hard your belly hurt? A friend asked me, and I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember the last time I laughed. It scared me. It made me reflect on life and the pursuit of happiness. When I was young, I thought happiness meant going to school, getting a good job, finding love, and starting a family. So that's what I did. I have 4 beautiful children that I love with all my heart. They are my everything and the best thing I've done in my life. My goal is to raise them well so they can have bright futures. It was tough. I made sacrifices. I prioritized their happiness and well-being over mine. Countless days and evenings were spent chauffeuring children, going to sports and competitions. Me time never existed. And mom was always on duty. Married with children, living in the suburbs with a minivan. A dream for some, a nightmare for others. So many beautiful moments I will forever cherish. Discovering the beauty of unconditional love as I held my newborn in my arms for the first time. Receiving homemade Mother's Day gifts from my excited children. And watching my eldest squat and fart on her baby brother sitting on the floor, who now farts on everybody he can. At some point, sorry, so many beautiful, what beautiful moments do you remember most fondly? I love being a mom. And yet, as time passed, I neglected myself for so long that when someone asked, when was the last time you laughed? I couldn't remember. I had quietly quit, stopped trying to be happy, focused on other people's happiness because I didn't know how to make myself happy. Without true love, connection, my marriage fell apart. At some point, I decided a light bulb lit, and I have a choice. Either choose happiness or maintain the status quo, miserable and unhappy. So I made the decision, took action on the hardest thing I've had to do in my life. I dared to pursue my own happiness. That meant ending my marriage, leaving the beautiful home we created to start a new life as a single mom with 4 awesome kids. To stop myself from wallowing during those darkest days, I would search for pockets of happiness, moments in the day where I would take the time to find the good around me. Wildflowers growing in a nearby field, the smell of coffee brewing in the distance. My favorite was catching a glimpse of a vibrant sunrise or sunset. Finding pockets of happiness every day helped me focus on the good. It was a great time to reflect, to ponder, to dream, and to escape. It forced me to stop being sad and helpless and gave me the courage to dare to be happy, even just for a moment, to dare to pursue my own happiness. It took me years to realize that I could only live vicariously through others for so long. If I wanted to be happy, I needed to find it within myself. With time and reflection, I realized I needed more than just pockets of happiness, but to create beautiful moments every day. because beautiful moments become beautiful memories that we can cherish always. By creating these moments, we open ourselves to truly seeing the beauty around us. Like pockets of happiness, we are encouraged to focus on the good in what may seem like a difficult day. Beautiful moments is a mindset. Doesn't need to be complicated, doesn't need other people, but it can if you want. It's going for a walk, noticing the beautiful trees and sky. It's having empathy for the rude man that cut you off in the middle of the road. You didn't know it, but he was rushing home to see his son's school play. He knew his son would be crushed if he didn't see his dad in the audience. Maybe it will remind you to be grateful that you have a job that allows you to be at home every night for dinner with your family. When we strive to find the good and beauty in life, we are distanced from the negativity. Beautiful moments is an experience that makes us aware, makes us feel calm, feel grateful, feel happy. We are alive and blessed with time to enjoy what is good. We all know people overwhelmed with sadness and negativity. That was me. Pockets of happiness every day saved me. It grounded me and gave me hope that tomorrow could be better. Then, with time, I moved beyond pockets of happiness. Now I always choose happiness. And I choose to create beautiful moments every day. Now I laugh. I dance. I create meaningful connections with people that bring me joy and peace. Fellow Toastmasters, when was the last time you laughed so hard your belly hurt? Imagine how incredible your life could be if you created beautiful moments every day, because beautiful moments become beautiful memories that we can cherish always. Madame.
All right.
Thank you so much for that very transparent speech on beautiful moments. I'm trying to remember the last time I laughed so hard, my belly hurt. If we could actually get a timer's report. Timer, did all of the speakers qualify?
Yes, all of the speakers qualified.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If we could please still get 90 seconds so that we can send some feedback. And then we also have our evaluation that has just popped up, our best speaker poll. So if you could choose who you feel is the best speaker, that would be great. Guests, you are allowed or able, not allowed, you're able to vote as well. So please do.
We have 15 votes. I know some of us who are Zoom or we can't vote, but if there's anyone who hasn't voted, don't forget your vote counts. Vote once and just once. Thank you.
Thank you. Our 90 seconds is up. And we are now going to go to our table topics portion of the meeting, where I know that the illustrious Muriel Shabazz is going to wow us with her thought-provoking questions. So Muriel, please welcome to the virtual lectern.
All right, let's see if I can do this. Once again, oh geez. Can you see this? Yes, yes. Okay, this is the fun part of table topics. Actually, it's the fun part of Toastmasters, where we do impromptu and extemporaneous speaking. And this is an opportunity for those that are called upon to be transparent. Okay, so I've made a list of those who I would love to call on. Is there anyone that would not like to be called on? Okay, so starting out, I would love to ask my best buddy from Brooklyn, New York, Jack Kaminsky. What do you think about this quote? I want you to be as transparent with your answer as possible. We cannot think of being acceptable to others until we have proven acceptable to ourselves. What do you think about that, Jack?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, for asking me that question. It brings back a memory to me of when I was in school. I had a teacher, and he would always point to me and say, "Your behavior is so transparent because you are a pain." And I never knew whether he meant P-A-I-N or P-A-N-E. Now, many, many years later, I know that he was talking about transparency and that I was a pane of glass. So, once I learned that, I knew that I would be acceptable to myself and to everyone who is around me. I no longer had to be transparent all the time. But it was fine. And my teacher, that I thank for saying that to me, was a wonderful person. And he was transparent with me, and I am now being transparent with all of you. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
All right, Jack. Carl Wash. What is the best part of being Carl? What is the best part of being you, Carl? And let's be transparent with this answer.
Thank you very much, Muriel, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and fellow guests. What's the best part of being me? Well, I suppose my best part of being me is that never be afraid of a challenge. I think any challenge that we have or that we get in life is an opportunity to learn about ourselves, to learn about others, and also to develop new skills and become a better version of ourselves. I think every day when you wake up, you become that better person. You get to know more about yourself. You become a lot more wiser. You just become a lot more of everything, I suppose. And if you make a mistake, well, really, who cares? At the end of the day, mistakes are all about learning. And anytime we make a mistake, and I'd be sitting here and lying if I said I never made a mistake in my life, because we all do. And the only way we learn from, the only way we can eradicate those mistakes is to learn from them and to move on from them. And I have to say I've done that. And any, like me sitting here talking to you guys is a better part of myself, because I'm learning and I'm becoming a lot better in myself for doing it. Joining Toastmasters in 2019 was one of the best things that I think I ever done in my life. It's given me the confidence to be able to speak. It's given me the confidence to be able to lead. It's given me the confidence to be able to inspire others. And they're the three things that I really enjoy the most. And that opportunity has brought me here today, and to be able to speak to you in a more confident and well-rounded manner. So I think the best part about me is not being afraid of a challenge. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Wow, Carl, I hear a speech in that. Oh my goodness, that was wonderful. You were absolutely transparent with that answer. Okay, Cliff K, what would you do differently if you knew, Cliff, that no one would judge you? Can I get you to be transparent with that answer?
Madam Table Topics Master, I have a major problem with this word transparent. I am so transparent that people see right through me. In fact, they don't even see me. They walk through me because they don't see me. I am so transparent. So how could I answer this question? What would I do differently if I knew no one would judge me? Well, if they can't see me, how can they judge me? For instance, it's pretty obvious that I'm here today as Julie's support crew. And I can tell you straight off that you have made a big mistake if you have not voted Julie as #1 speaker today. Now, so I'm just letting you know that I'm being completely transparent about that. I'm here as Julie's support crew, and that is my main reason for being here today. But of course, you can't even see me. I'm so you're looking behind me. You're straight through me. So what else can I do? So how can you judge me, or anybody judge me, if they can't see me? They can hear me, yes, but they can't see me, and they say, where is that voice coming from? We don't know. I don't know. Have you ever heard of a room talking? Oh, what a silly thing. But of course, in Toastmasters, anything is possible. And today, of course, what is possible is that Julie is going to be voted #1 speaker for today. So that is my answer to you, Madam Table Topics Master. Thank you.
Wow, Cliff, I tell you, between you and Carl and Pat, you guys from Dunleary are bringing the smoke. Okay. Who do we have next? Jesper, would you take a question and be transparent with us when you answer?
Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Okay, can you see the question? Is it transparent enough?
Yes, Table Topics Master. Thank you for the question. When you know your worth, there will be no limits to what you can achieve. Great question. At first, I did not see the transparency in this question, meaning I did not understand the value of it in the early days of my career. But what I realized this morning, the first theme that Toastmaster Shawnte mentioned, know your worth. Know your worth. The early part of my career, when I negotiated my salary, that's something that's prominent in knowing your worth. I did not get it, but I realized that does not define what I'm worth. A paycheck does not define what you're worth. Knowing your values determines what you're worth. As Speaker Rumbadzai mentioned earlier in her speech, life is a series of flights, and the captains in my life are learning and growing. Those are the values. And not just that, reflecting on what Sharon said, mentorship, teaching is also a value that I've appreciated in my life. I'm a mentor as an alumni for my college. So taking what I've learned and helping those who need the help, helping students with their career path, showing them what they can look forward to, clarifying what they want in life. Those are the values that have shaped. So when you know your worth, there will be no limits to what you can achieve. As Julie mentioned, making myself happy, that's given me an appreciation for what I'm worth. Great question. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Wow, great question, great answer. Oh my God, all of these could be speeches. I only have time for one more, and Marjorie Duarte Sheffield. I would love for you to be transparent as you answer this question, Marjorie. I wish I could see one more time. Marjorie, be transparent and tell us what you would like to see just one more time.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. What I wish I could see one more time with all transparency, my father. My father passed away 51 years ago, and there is no one day that I think about him. He is present, even though he is also transparent. He is in my life, and I talk to him every day, but I would like to see him. And that's one more time. I remember after he passed away and he was buried many years later, he was taken out of the plot to be moved to another plot. The reason I don't remember. And I asked to see him again. And I opened the casket. They let me open the casket. And what I saw was just his hair standing up on the skull. And I said, that's not my father. That's not the one that I remember. And I wish I would see him one more time and give him a hug and tell him, I love you. Back to you.
Wow, thank you, Marjorie. So that ends the table topics session. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. We have all seen each participant be transparent.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Table Topics, for your very thought-provoking questions. If you could, thank you. You're amazing. Thank you for being so transparent with, and thank you all for sharing with your very transparent answers. Madam Timer, did all of the table topic speakers qualify?
I guess this is my opportunity to be transparent. And yes, all of the speakers qualified.
Thank you so much. Are we going to do a poll? Madam, thank you. Please vote for your best table topics speaker. And guests, you are more than welcome to vote. Unfortunately, Julie is not on the table topic speaker voting schedule, so we cannot vote for her, Cliff, for table topics, but we did vote during the best speaker.
Getting ready to close the poll. If you haven't voted yet, I put a little description so you won't forget.
We appreciate your transparency, Vicki. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that heads up, Vincent.
Yes, Vincent, thank you for your transparency in using the reactions to assist us during the meeting. We appreciate it.
Yeah, he's always transparent.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of you who have voted. We are going to now move over to the very transparent part of the meeting where we will get our great feedback from our evaluators. And this part is going to be led by my co-host, the general evaluator. So I now turn it over to you, Pat Caslin, so that you can take it away.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. First, can I have the timings for the speeches, please? Or do we need them? We know we're all qualified. Maybe just put them in the chat. That would be great. And let us go to the evaluations. We've done the polls, so let's start with the evaluations. Our first evaluator is Vincent, and he's going to evaluate Rumi's speech. Vincent.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. Before I go into this transparency evaluation, I'd like to share some intimate knowledge with you. Shawnte and I, we are a team. It's a bit like having a pizza and you share the pizza. So part of her transparencies are dropping over to my side. So So whenever she says transparent, it means she means me as well. Ruby, what a lovely speech. What I enjoy about public speaking is that people use the power of language, the use of metaphors. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is important to all of us. To make a good speech, a great speech, it is exactly that, to use descriptive language. So in her speech, The Captain, which did inspire me, she opened up the setting of the stage. There she is in an aircraft. There the captain says we are going to travel through turbulences. This is a metaphor of her life. And then she has the fear tingling in her ears, or in the blink of an eye, or the complete and utterly powerless. She repeats that, and she asks us if we ever felt completely and utterly powerless. And she cried herself to sleep. Now, this is really wonderful descriptive language. And this makes a great base of any speech. We should learn to use this. She also has a great call to action because she uses this metaphor of the flight once again. It says, take into consideration, you are sitting in your aircraft and you are the captain of your own life, and make the most out of it. There are two things I would recommend. First, the physical part, where she usually just uses her right hand, which pops up like this. You know, these Chinese restaurants where they have this little Buddha which does this? Yeah, this is a bit like she just uses her right hand. And number two, which is probably more important to me, the use of language. Yes, she has a powerful and clear voice, but I find it too loud sometimes. And I think to make it smoother, sometimes it would be nice to have a lower voice, maybe to be slightly more intimate. I know she is an engineer, and perhaps engineers are being considered as not being very smooth and loving, but they can be. And so my recommendation would be a bit smoother sometimes. Use your voice to seduce us and to inspire us. Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Can we now please have John to evaluate Sharon? John, you might come off mute, please. Thank you.
Sure, yeah. Thank you all very much for hosting me this morning. I appreciate it. And I can hope to be transparent, but I cannot channel April. April would do a much better job. I'll do the best. But I can give you my opinion about Sharon. I think Sharon did a wonderful job. Her speech is all about a call to action. And the vehicle that she used is mentoring. So she opened with a question. Her question was, what has TM done for you? And what have you done for it? And then she started talking about the mentoring program within Pathways, and she gave us some specifics about that in terms of what to look for in a mentor and how a mentee has to play a part in that. She used her vocal expression well. She was clear. She could use more gestures and more expression. Her awareness of the audience was good, and she did a good eye contact. You could be a little bit more engaging, Sharon, in terms of your mannerisms and the things that you do while you're on screen. It's hard to do in Zoom, but that's some of the things. You brought us around to your personal story, which was a wonderful thing. South Suburban Crisis Center and domestic violence. And you didn't create fear there. You created involvement from the standpoint that you thought that this is something that you could have been subjected to, but you were lucky to not have to be a part of that. So you wanted to share with people who had been, and you went through a 40-hour training program. to basically get you qualified to share things with others that might have gone through this experience. Your main theme, really, when it comes down to it, was about bringing us into that environment, thinking about mentoring, thinking about what it's like to take on a mentee. Who are you encouraging in your life? And your call to action, in a very transparent way, was to tell us you have a message that needs to be told. Thank you, Madam Evaluator, or Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you, John. Our third evaluator then is the veritable cousin Vicky Trebosh, who's going to evaluate Julie's contest speech. Vicky.
Thank you so much, Mr. General Evaluator. I have this on speaker view because I'm recording. Carol, if Julie's still in the meeting, can you pin Julie and I next to each other so when I give my evaluation and she watches it back, she can see it? That would be great. I'm not sure if Julie had to leave or she's still here, but let me begin.
I'm here.
Great. So if you could pin us both. Julie, thank you so much for this speech. What I'm going to do is be transparent in my feedback. You came to Masters of Evaluation to get the best of the best, and that includes all the things you did well and the places I'm going to encourage you. I always say, it's not my original statement, but practice makes permanent. So I want you to practice like this is a real contest speech. Is that what you would wear? That's fine, but you have to have a plain background. Because you've got the virtual background, you go in and out, your screen's a little fuzzy, so practice with a white background or something. Not, I've seen wrinkled backgrounds, I've seen bad curtains. You get a background where you're powerful. And then when you talk, our eyes are on you because it's a gorgeous background. I don't want to be looking at it. And practice makes permanent. Practice the way you want to learn. You began with a ha, ha, ha. Now, if you really laugh like that, Julie, I'm going to be surprised. That, what you're doing right there, that's a real laugh. So you have to think of something. If you want to start with a laugh, make it a real laugh. I thought you were doing a Santa Claus thing for a minute. And I use humor to make a point because I'm not here to insult. If you want to start with that laugh, or you could just say, think of something funny that made you laugh. You don't have to pretend to laugh because pretend laughs don't work. But the point was a really strong start. So I want you to start there. I just want you to clean that up a little bit. When you talked about the 4 things that you were doing, those were great. And then all of a sudden I heard you say, I've got 4 kids. I thought the 4 things were happiness, whatever they were. See, I don't remember them off the top of my head. But then you said, I found out all 4 of those can come through my children, my 4 children. Now we've made a good connection. And then you can talk about how you lived for them and you realized that wasn't good enough and how things changed. And then you began to look for happiness. Now, you know your story. You got lost because you were moving your notes somehow, either in paper or they're on the screen. And that face right there, you made a couple times. Hey, we're here to practice. I'm not telling you who couldn't do that. Don't feel badly. That does not serve you. Say, all right, how much do I need my notes? Do I really need them all written out? I don't know if you have an outline or if you just have word for word. That'll kill you as a speaker. You know your stories. You know you have 4 kids. You know you went through a divorce. You know you find happiness. Use your notes to elevate you, not to hold you back. So start practicing like you don't have all your notes in front of you. You said, I decided a light bulb. You don't decide about light bulbs. Either I decided to, or a light bulb went off. But you put those 2 things together. I want you to go back and watch this speech. If you don't like watching yourself speak, don't turn on the camera. Don't watch it, listen to it and see if you hear the things I heard. And your greatest connection with us as an audience was when you got in the moment, when you said, oh, those small moments, those were powerful. The other thing I want you to consider is how you use your screen. You go back and forth a lot. Consider going side to side. If you're going to say, when we strive, you're going to move the opposite way. I'm going to the right. That's what the eyes do when we strive versus when we fail. use the stage that you've got more powerfully than just forward and backwards. I love this speech. There's more for you to do, and well done, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Now, before we have the table topics evaluator, do we have a table topics evaluator? I don't see one. Who's in the agenda
Yes.
for table topics?
It's John White.
John, before John, can we have the timing for the table topics, please? Do we have the timing for table? Oh, sorry, can we have the vote for the table topics? That's what I want to call it.
We already did that.
With the vote.
We did that. Yeah. What am I missing a vote? Oh, just a second. No. Okay. Then all right. Then John, can I hear you? Apologies. Losing my way there. Pardon me?
No problem. I'm Dave Ryan, John White, and a table topic evaluator.
Go.
And I'm under the gun because there simply isn't enough time. We're running late. Let me just say, I love the table topics person, Muriel. Well done. I love that you used the word of the day. I like the fact that you were dealing out cards, this notion of you never know what the hand's going to give you. It was thematic, but it was this sort of randomness, and it put us on edge. Of course, you were encouraging. I think I heard a speech in there, and she said he brought the smoke. For those of you who don't know, that's a positive, because where there's smoke, there's fire, and we all know fire is a good thing. So well done, Muriel. As far as the respondents, I thought there was illustrated the power of being direct and personal when you have something to share. That was Muriel and that was Carl to a lesser degree. And also there was a play on words, if you will. If I could just talk about Jack, you talked about pain versus pain. I couldn't quite get there. I think I know what you did. And then when you were there, you talked about pane of glass. The joke was telling itself. You were in a pane of glass or a pain in the ass. I mean, it was one or the other. So that was a missed opportunity there. And then you said at the end, I no longer had to be transparent, but I thought you were talking about the power of transparency. So I think your message was not clear to me at the end. So my apologies. Carl, well done on that. You are not afraid of a challenge. Perhaps give the Toastmaster experience up front, what you learned from it, then you could talk about the generalities, because I think it felt academic at first, about a discussion about how these things make us grow, blah, blah, blah. But when you drop into the story, I think we feel it even better. Cliff, I don't know what to do with you with this transparency. Were you transparent because of your complexion as a man on the similar realm as you scale? I thought you were going to do that. So they don't see you, they walk over you. I thought there was some comedic opportunities that you didn't take advantage of. And then you were transparent and went Olympic 72 on Russian judge. We're voting for this person. I found it offensive in its transparency, he said jokingly. Jesper, I mean, come on. I hope you join. At this point, you should be running this show. Calling back to two of the speakers. Well done. And then finally, as I slow down, there's no joking here. Marjorie, the power of what happens in life and some of our losses and just the meaning and the depth of it. I could hear it in your voice. We all felt, I've lost a parent, but even if we haven't lost that, we could just feel in how deeply you wanted to see him one more time. You've lost him 51 years ago. You talked to him. That was just beautiful. Now, to the other respondents, not every time we don't have that story at hand, but when you do, go all in is what I would say. And Marjorie, I applaud you for doing that. That's my report. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Topics Evaluator. As usual, top of the class. I shouldn't have said that before. Top of the, out of the top drawer, should I say. Now, can we have a vote for best evaluator, please, before I do the general evaluation?
Not until you call on our grammarian and you give your evaluation, because you're both in the running.
Thank you very much, our grammarian. Can we have you report, please, Mary?
Yes, Mr. General Evaluator. The word of the day was used by numerous Toastmasters and a few of our guests. To make it really concise, the queen of the word of the day, transparent, is Shawnte. She used it 8 times. Muriel used it 6 times. Vincent 3 times. Sharon once. Vicky once. John 4 times. Carol once. Jack 5 times. And that concludes the use of the word of the day. Transparent was used generously. Thank you all for your contribution and use of the word of the day. And for the eye counter report, most of you did not use any grammatical errors doing the odd counters, listening intensely. There was just one person who had a few odds, and that is Carl. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Mary. Great report. Now, do we, my general evaluation of the meeting then. My overall impression of word of the day, and let me take some issue with this. My impression of word of the day is something that we should try and use, that it's a word that we bring into our language that we don't normally use, as distinct from a word that we use out of context. And I thought transparent was hugely used out of context in situations where it didn't make sense and it was used for the sake of using it. So I kind of think that's kind of like, it becomes a game. Let's just tick this up, rather than something that we learn from, that we add value to our speech and our language from. So I'm not a great fan of the contest word of the day. The word of the day in a contest form, just used, thrown around in a sentence because you can. So there you go. That's my take on word of the day. That's one of my big impressions of the meeting. The meeting generally starts off with great energy, with great feeling, and it gets people involved. Guests are welcome. Everybody gets involved. The only person I think that wasn't involved today was Scott. I didn't hear you say anything, Scott. There you go. But maybe there weren't enough roles to go around. The Toastmaster, Shawnte, superb. I love your energy. I love the way you bring everybody, you get everybody going on that. But I wonder whether some of the introductions, take up more time than is available, as distinct from, using that energy to get straight into or quicker into the core of the meeting. And I saw Vincent speed up the sign up there for quite a bit of the meeting, but I think we're probably largely caught up. Topics, Muriel, this is energy personified. This is energy coming to life. Fantastic topics and some great answers that. And I particularly like Cliff's answer because that was an opposite use of the word transparent. Great speeches, evaluations. Vincent, I would say that my impression of Rumbi's speech was maybe that it could have been less performance and more feeling. And I think that it could have been a lot more powerful. John, I thought that there was probably a little too much repetition of the content of the speech, rather than concentrating on the feeling of inadequacy we have, and as humans, for not giving, which I felt at the end of Sharon's speech. And Vicky, look, there's no better evaluator anywhere in Toastmasters, I know. So I can't add to, what Vicky gives, because she is the master of evaluations. John, I love your evaluations. They're always on point, great fun, and probably one of the best listeners around, because you capture the nuance of what goes on. I hope the guests felt welcome, because I think everybody does. As many people were involved as possible. Another great Masters of Evaluation meetings. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your evaluations. Thank you for your participation. Let's keep this going.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that great evaluation. Did all of the evaluators, Madam Timer, qualify? Do I ask that here? Yes, right?
Actually, no, technically 2 did not meet the qualification.
Okay.
Would you like to know which 2?
Yes, please.
District Chief Judge, you keep in contest mode. So Mary was a little short and Vicky was a little long.
Okay. Awesome. So do just 1 second so she can adjust the poll. So thank you all. I will add in my comments while she's doing that. Thank you all for an absolutely great meeting today. I had fun being your Toastmaster of the day. Yes, my challenge and my, my competitive side gets the best of me sometimes, but thank you guys for putting up with me today. The poll is up, so please vote for your best evaluator. And then I will just also say, just for the sake of time, thank you all again. The theme today was to know your worth and then add tax. So I implore you all to go forward today and for the rest of the year in our lives to please always know your worth. A little bit of tax, it never hurts. So thank you guys. I think, were we good?
I think we're good. Do we have results from any of the early voting? I know we're probably tabulating.
Yep.
The evaluators.
I sent them all to, I sent them the first one to you, John, but I sent them all to Shawnte.
Yes. So if we could get a drum roll, please, I can let you know who our winners for today are. For our speakers, the winner was Roomby.
Roomby.
For table topics, it was Jasper and Marjorie. It was a tie. And for best evaluator, John. Thank you all again. Appreciate you. I will see you in 2 weeks. And I now turn the virtual lectern back over to our presiding officer, who is John today, playing all the roles. John.
Thank you. I'm trying to be stretched thin. I'm having an emotional moment. I've never won an award at MoE. You guys are so good. So goodbye. I'm just gonna, my day's made. Oh, okay, we've got some business to handle. I apologize for not touching on the guests, and we have many. So I just wanted to find out your impressions of the meeting, and brevity would be appreciated. Cliff, I'm being transparent. What were your thoughts, sir?
Very good, thank you. Very enjoyable meeting, and great to see how a different meeting with some differences to the ones I go to. And I did come as Julie's support crew, and I think she did an amazing job. End of story.
Great to have a supportive friend such as yourself. You're always welcome back. Mr. Graham, when they were yelling for John to join, I thought, oh my gosh, was I signed up for another role? It's rare that it's another John. What'd you think of our meeting, supportive friend?
It's wonderful. I was here for Christmas, one other event, and I enjoyed that one too. And this one was kind of spontaneous. I got a last minute call asking me to come. So I very much appreciate your group, and you are a very professional group. You know, I love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I'm just going across my screen. Carol Otters, good to see you. What'd you think?
Good to see you, John. You know, I'm a big fan. This was a great group. I really enjoyed it. I wish I didn't have my full-time job because I would be here all the time. But I look forward to coming back and hopefully do a much better job as your Zoom producer.
You did great. I'm going across the screen. You're not a guest, but we all just want to hear your voice. Maybe just say your name or a 5-word thought, Scott Oliver, quickly. A quick blessing.
Too much fun today. It was a great group, great speeches, loved it all.
Scott can't count. That was 10. We're moving on. Carl, what were your thoughts, sir?
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, it was a great meeting, I have to say. Really good speeches from all three. I wish Julie the very best of luck with her speech as she moves on with it. And yeah, just the evaluations. The one thing I really enjoy about coming to Masters Evaluation is just the quality of the evaluations that are given. I'm hoping to improve my evaluation skills this year. I'm hoping to take part in our club's evaluation contest in the coming weeks. So yeah, I really enjoyed it here today, and there's a lot that I can take away. And yeah, every time I come here, I feel that I grow a lot more with the evaluations. Like Carol, I've got a full-time job, so I can't be here all the time. But today I had a day off, and I've decided to come along. And thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to coming again. Thank you.
Good to see you. You remind me of one of the benefits of Zoom. We often complain that we don't get to meet in person and how we miss that. But I get to meet you and Pat and Cliff and the Dunleary group. It's been just a wonderful expansion of my perspective.
Did you forget me, John? Here up in Portland, Oregon, you got to meet me too, you know? Did you forget?
I did, you know, Vicky, I so love you that I feel I'm too transparent. It's awkward for you. That's the feedback I get post meeting. So I'm trying to install a filter and see if it's working. Julie, what did you think of our meeting?
Cliff was absolutely right. You guys are awesome evaluators. I was very impressed with your professionalism, and you did an awesome, and very impressed with your table topics. Very difficult questions that you all answered well, and I'm about to get kicked out of my meeting room. Gotta run. But thank you so much for having me. And I also work during the day, so I can't do this all the time, but it was wonderful coming. Oh, I've got to run. Bye.
Yeah,
Bye now.
please come back. I used to avoid the tough subjects, but then Pat introduced me to stoicism. He said, accept it and lean into it. So that's what I do now. Layla, are you available to speak on your experience?
Yes, I am. I love the meeting too. I especially love the word of the day, transparency. Wow, wonderful. I think all the speeches were great, the table topics, and especially the evaluations. So I feel very grateful to be part of your meeting today, and I hope to come back. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Were there other guests that I missed? I think we've covered them all.